I had an extraordinary encounter today. We're listening to Eamon Tobin, a formative artist in my life. I met another Isaiah today. The second one in as many years. It was like every word he spoke was prophecy. I thought, what this person speaks is truth. And it confirmed for me my belief in a cosmic intelligence. And then there was Josue, Joshua, in my Instagram. Oops, same difference. Feed. His artistry really knows no bounds. And did you see I did a little bit of redecorating, an updo, if you will. Peace. May peace be with you. I mean that truly. Welcome to another episode of Hysterical Whiteness, TM, aka my public life. Can't stop twirling my hair like this. Is it obnoxious? Before we proceed any further on tonight's episode, I want to thank my 7th subscriber. I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to see exactly who the 7th subscriber was, but I'm so pleased. Thank you for your engagement. Subscription costs you nothing, those of you who might be watching this and considering. It just means that I get a little bit more play with the capability of YouTube. And what I really would like to happen here is that I gain the capacity to live broadcast, because then I can go to things and live broadcast, or I can live broadcast from here, say on a Saturday night at 9 p.m. or a Sunday at 12 a.m., 12 p.m. or 10 a.m. or I'm thinking about time zones here and people tuning in from Australia, South Africa, other places, Europe, of course, and right here in the good old US of A, although good is a relative term. And you see, I need 1,000 subscribers to get that opportunity to live broadcast. But I'm a very patient man, as a wise man named Art once told me. And how are you doing? Yeah, no, as you can see, I'm just chilling. Yeah. No, Isaiah came over, and not to put their business out there, we hung out. You know, and we got to know one another. You know, we conversated. We had a conversation. We talked. We shared things about each other. We discussed how we might like to spend time together. We discussed softness. Shout out, by the way, to Donia, our love. I'm not sure on the pronunciation of Donia, D-O-N-J-A, the playwright behind that show, Arthur and I saw. I believe Donia or Donja or Danya or Danja spoke of softness, of being soft. Being soft is okay. It's better than being hard. Being gentle is better than being harsh. Discipline and punish does not work. And you don't have to read Foucault. Nobody likes to be disciplined. Nobody likes to be made to feel bad. Nobody likes to be shamed. Nobody wants to feel like they did something wrong. Nobody wants to be cast out of humanity, and yet humanity, the apparatus, this complex of systems that beats as one, humanity relies on casting out people to prison, to other countries, pointing around the world. It's morning in America again. Reagan's campaign motto, followed by olive oil, followed by George H.W. Bush, the former CIA director, his 1,000 points of light. They were using religious terminology of enlightenment, but not from the so-called Eastern tradition, from the so-called Western Christianity. When in fact Christianity, like Judaism, like Islam, all arose from the crossroads of East and West, North Africa, and the Middle East. The Middle East and North Africa. Also the crossroads of the North and the South, which is why Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all related. And yet they've all been leveraged and distorted for political ends. And that's a crying shame. That's what I'm thinking about this holiday season. Passover, Easter, Ramadan, Eid, the breaking of fast. How have you fasted? This holiday season. I joked I gave up men for Lent. But normally I never think very much about Lent. Until this Lent, I've thought very much about it. And I didn't give up anything. But God took something from me. A reminder that I'm now going to observe the practice of giving something up during Lent. I'm going to let something go every Lent and get lighter. In the yogic sense. In a different order, or arrangement rather, of metaphysics, one I've gravitated to over time. In order of vintage French ceramic or porcelain teacups, which I like to use as oversized demi-tasse cups for when I use my Bioletti stovetop espresso maker. Or about $20, and then it cost me about $20 for shipping from France. I didn't realize they were coming from France, but they were exactly my style. And I had taken to, I was trying to lower, I thought it would be, I wanted to experiment with lowering my coffee intake from a cup a day, from a sizable cup a day, to a less sizable cup. And it was working well, except that I didn't really have, when I was with my penultimate ex, Scott, yeah, we did have some of these oversized kind of, they were teacups, but I like to use them for like my stovetop espresso. They were just sort of the right size and wide enough. Anyway, obviously I don't have those anymore. I mean, they weren't mine to begin with. I mean, I thought we shared everything, but not everything as it happened. And so it goes, and it won. I saw the trailer for that new Almodovar short film with Tilda Swinton. After she applies the maquillage in her visage. How's Michelle Visage doing? What's going on with that? B word. No. I myself can't really use that jargon like that. It's hard for me for a variety of reasons. So I say B word instead. Anyway, where was I? Well, the vintage, I mean, you probably already know, right? The vintage, just think about it for a minute. Lent, I gave something up. Something being shipped. Not to a P.O. box, to a residential address. Well, I got a notification from Etsy saying it had been delivered. I couldn't find the box anywhere. And I looked, and I saw that Etsy said when I went to the troubleshoot page, aka the FAQs, or just the FAQ, because it's frequently asked questions. You don't actually need the ask, but it can go both ways. Anyway, so it was like they didn't show up, and I was like, oh, even though Etsy, right? Sean, get to the point, right? Even though Etsy said that sometimes it'll say the package has been delivered, but it won't show up for another day because of quirks or something. This is not a critique of Etsy, by the way. Although I did have another weird episode on Etsy a while ago. Again, not a critique of Etsy, but look, the next day, didn't comment. It's like, what am I gonna do? Like, there's no way to track it. The tracking said it had been delivered. And I was like, I get all of my other packages. You know what I mean? Like, I've only not gotten 2 packages since I've lived at this address, the fono-teknion recording studio and performance space. Free improvisation space. FIP. Talk about lingo. Rediscovered that word again recently. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just let it go. I was like, okay, fine, like, I don't need these, like, teacups, like, I had gone back to drinking a regular cup, a sizable cup of coffee a day, and I just lowered, I'm putting fewer beans, just a tad fewer beans in, so I just cut the caffeine that way. You know what I mean? It's just 6 half dozen, apple, Appel, app, A, just A. So I let it go, and I didn't need them anymore anyway because I had shifted back to my earlier practice, just tweaked to achieve the same effect. And I was like, I'm just out $40. Like, I can cover $40. That wasn't always the case for me, so, I would have been and I used to be much more covetous of objects, which reminds me, the other package that went missing here. I've been thinking a lot about packages. All kinds of packages, but logistics. How packages get places, right? All the steps involved. It's like the Suez Canal thing, right? Like, oil prices were dependent on this freaking container ship, legacy of the slave ship, stuck in the Suez Canal. Oh, right, Middle East. What was I saying earlier? Crossroads of the world. That's why the United States needs to have its allies in the Middle East, of course. Listen, don't listen to me. Rather read Henry James, The Golden Bowl. Because interestingly enough, the other package that went missing was something from CB2. A pair of golden, they weren't quite bowls. They were more like golden urns or golden containers, but they were open at the top, unlike a container box, which is closed. I once actually, speaking of containers, I once went to a really interesting production in the parking lot of Riverside Church on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Upper Manhattan, right? Famously, the church that has never finished being built. Riverside. Whatever that church is up there. People will know what I'm talking about. People can write in the comments maybe with the correct information. People can write into the comments maybe with the correct information. Or DM me, maybe I'll read it out loud. Because maybe I'll do a segment on, like, you know, fan mail. No, I'm joking. Where was I? The golden open containers. And I was just going to use them as objet d'art. You know, just accent pieces. Because as I've mentioned in previous episodes of Hysterical Whiteness TM, gold was my theme. Those never showed up. Meanwhile, the other piece that I ordered from CB2, they were like, I got myself a couple of housewarming gifts when I moved here. These were 2 of them. That one I got because I was able to pick it up at the CB2 store here. But the golden bowls were delivered here, never showed up. I ended up getting replicas at IKEA, which worked out just dandy. Peaches. Peaches is an interesting musician. There's a whole period of music that nobody's even talking about. It's like every successive decade, people forget about the one that just passed or something like that. All right, it's like the golden bowls, the objet d'art, the riches. This is, I think, Henry James's point. So you don't have to read the golden bowl. I've only gotten about halfway through it. It's my 3rd time trying to read it. I love it. But not because I endorse its values, per se, if you can think of a novel as having values, but because, which is to say, the world that it's depicting, right, the rise of American influence and the decline of the British Empire, right, the rise of the American Empire, and the decline of the British Empire, and before the British Empire, the Roman Empire. That's what Henry James is writing about in The Golden Bowl, the rise of the American Empire. This novel came out in, like, like 1901 or something, 1903. I mean, he was right there because he's one of the greatest writers of all time, because he was paying attention to everything and writing it all down or recording it. That's all I've ever sought to do as a professional, is to observe as much as I can. And I thought my role was to record it or to explain it, or to theorize about it. Now I realize I want to know more and more about what's going on in the world so that I can work harder and harder and more strategically and comprehensively in service to ending harm reduction and eliminating all violence on the road to liberation. And we're getting there. We are. Because the American Empire is in decline. And I think imperialism itself is in decline. I think the world is too diffracted now. Just too much information out there. Nobody can ever know everything about anything, let alone everything about everything. China could be a new empire, but it's hard to really see that, especially given that it was once an empire akin to Rome. So I don't really see it coming back anytime soon, just like I don't see Italy rising to challenge anyone anytime soon. No. The COVID pandemic opened up the world, altering the balance of powers just enough, I think, that no one polity, which is to say nation state, can have that much influence ever again, such as the United States of America has had ever since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, which of course was reconstituted through Russia and its imperial ambitions, such as this annexation of Crimea, which nobody even remembers happened. Anyway, this is part of the project that I'm working on. This is part of the book project that I'm going to start writing in the next couple of months. I'm just taking my sweet little time getting there because I'm enjoying this. It's helping me work out my ideas, and people seem to like this. Enough people, at least, seem to like this, that I'm going to keep doing it. I love this track in particular. Right, 1989. 1991. (2001). 2008, 2020, 989, 91, 2001, 2008, 2020. 5 dates of significance here. The falling of the Berlin Wall, the US involvement in the Gulf. Those are the first Gulf War in 1991, after Iraq invaded Kuwait and the US fought Iraq the first time. 2001, 9/11. 2008, the global fiscal crisis. 2020, the pandemic of COVID and all of the resulting crises because of it, including a global recession that was hardly reported on. That is to say, aside from the context of the pandemic causing job losses and slowdowns, it reduced production and the accumulation of capital substantially, among other externalities of the pandemic. And I haven't begun to think about those externalities just quite yet. But I know people are looking to make up for what they felt was taken away from them.